The Silver Ballerina, Part 1. Chapter 3. Thorny weeds were poking their heads above the windowsill. They attracted bees, butterflies, spiders, and lizards, and I watched them in fascination. I was bursting with excitement. My first month of being alive was almost complete. The thought made me want to dance. I kept to my place, but the urge was strong. I wanted to jump and twirl like the humans I was modeled after. I might be able to. If she goes out this Friday like usual, she will be out all morning. She couldn't catch. No. I couldn't afford to be reckless. Forget it. Of course, I couldn't. The idea nagged me, and I turned it over, arguing with myself. Since that first time, my human had gone out every Friday, always in the morning, and always until lunchtime. I had a name for it now, too. Shopping. I found it when my human had brought a shopping bag into the bedroom and taken out a snack and a drink. Food and other things didn't appear out of thin air, so you had to get them from somewhere. For 2 hours, I would have the house to myself. The rules didn't say I couldn't move. They just said I couldn't let any humans see me. My human couldn't see me if she wasn't in the house. But what if the human came home early for some reason? What if I couldn't return to my position in time? What if a different human came in and saw me? So many things could go wrong, and then everything would be ruined. The argument went round and round in circles, and by the time Friday arrived, I still hadn't made a decision. As my human went through a going-out routine, I panicked so hard I almost collapsed. The front door slammed shut. The car roared to life and left. My throat clenched. Just do it. 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 The window. Just a few steps away. You can return quickly. Just a few steps. Go on. Go on. Now! I dropped my arms and head. I took a step. Then another. Then another. Then another. And I reached the edge of the desk. From the edge, I could see the whole window. Through the window, I saw not only the sky and the weeds, but also the ground, the grass, the trees, and the creatures living there. I cautiously sat on the edge and stared. A giggle burst from my lips. Before I knew it, I was laughing furiously and couldn't stop. I felt deliciously wicked, like a child doing something forbidden behind the grown-ups' backs. The fit passed, and I gazed out of this new world. The yard was huge and overgrown with weeds, wildflowers, and tall grass. It teemed with thousands of living things. Bees, beetles, butterflies, grasshoppers, and ants all buzzed, hummed, and fluttered busily. Spiders dozed on their webs. Birds circled the air, searching for a late morning snack. Squirrels scurried from tree to tree, tails twitching nervously. Clouds held no appeal. Life didn't live in clouds. It lived down here in the dirt. How enormous the world must look to them. The world looked big enough to me, and many of these critters were no bigger than I was. Just look at those weeds. They were 3 times taller than me. True to my fears, I became so absorbed in my observations that I didn't hear my human come home. The lock clicked. I jumped. For 1 second, my mouth hung open in horror, and then I scrambled back onto the desk. By the time the human walked into the bedroom, I had returned to my usual state. I nearly sagged with relief. Later that night, pride blossomed warmly in my chest. I had done it. I'd done what I wanted to do, and I didn't get caught. From then on, every time my human went shopping, I owned the desk. I danced like a maniac on a whim. I watched the animals outside my window. I played with some of the trinkets I found. I climbed on top of things and jumped off. For 2 hours, I did what I wanted. I also learned my human's name, Mary Jane Nesbit. I first saw the name on some papers that she had put on the desk, but I didn't connect the name to her until she made a phone call and introduced herself by it. She wasn't always called Mary Jane Nesbit. Sometimes she was called Miss Nesbit, and sometimes she was called MJ. I always called her Mary Jane. It sounded pretty when I said it out loud. One side of the desk was pressed up against the head of the bed, and Mary Jane always kept the book she was currently reading on it. One morning, I got up the courage to examine it. To my mild surprise, I found that I could read the cover easily. After some hesitation, I opened it. It was a storybook. I understood that much. I wanted to understand more. I realized that I would have to be quick, or else Mary Jane would finish it before me and put it away. I wasn't able to catch up that day. I groaned silently when I saw Mary Jane reading it that evening. Throughout the week, I burned with the desire to sneak reading in, while Mary Jane was busy elsewhere in the house. But I kept telling myself I still had a chance. I didn't. Mary Jane finished it on Thursday. Disappointment hit me like a hammer, and all restraint flew off the desk. After that, I snuck readings in while Mary Jane took a shower. It was easier now that I was reading alongside her. With every book, my knowledge of the world grew piece by piece. I had had a vague notion that there were other humans besides mine. However, I had no idea that there were so many, or that their world was so vast. I was determined to learn as much as possible. Thus, I passed my second month, and it was much better than the first.